Oil and gas drilling is big business in parts of rural Colorado, but there is tension between the drilling companies and homeowners. Do you think the mandatory setbacks currently in law are adequate to keep wells away from homes? And what do you consider a safe distance? Donna, we'll start with you.
Well, as you know, our current setback law is 500 feet. I'm open to a conversation about expanding that. I do think the 2,500-foot setback is not something that most people support. What we do care about is that public safety and health is our #1 priority when it comes to where gas drilling occurs. Now, actually, in a lot of rural Colorado, they are very welcome to gas and oil drilling because, in fact, some of it occurs on their property. The biggest challenge is more in the Front Range, where we have that clash between home development and housing development and where the oil drills are located. But I would, as governor, strengthen the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission by making it a full-time paid group that actually spends the time without interference from their existing relationships to focus on this setback law in concert with our public health officials.
Where between 500 and 2,500 do you think is appropriate?
Well, I think it's arbitrary, quite frankly. I mean, 799 could be my answer, but I do think we've got to rely on professionals. I think it's an arbitrary number. We have to be concerned about noise. We have to be concerned about schools and some of the issues around location near a playground versus the actual school building. But my point is, there are professionals that can look at what's happened in other states, the impact on the economy, and the health data to make the decisions on whether 500 or 1,000 or 1,500 are the right number.
Cary, do you have an answer for this question?
John, I don't believe the current setbacks in law are adequate. I recently visited the Bella Romero School, where there's a huge drilling operation. There's going to be 20 and possibly even more wells that are just a couple hundred feet off the kids' soccer field at the school. Not even 1,000 feet from the playground. And when you're standing on that playground, that is a huge industrial operation that is taking place right adjacent to where those children are playing. Now, that community spent a lot of time trying to get that operation moved just a little bit farther away. We have the technology today with this industry to be able to move those wells farther from places like schools and public parks and playgrounds. So I support giving our local jurisdictions the authority to make those setbacks longer than they are currently in law.
But you do currently oppose the 2,500 setback proposed for the ballot.
I don't think we should have the same setback requirement for every single building in the entire state. What's going on in the San Juan Basin is entirely different than what's going on up here on the Front Range. I think we should give local communities, they are best suited to deal with these difficult land use decisions, and we should give them that authority.
Thank you. Mike, are the current setbacks adequate?
No, I would push back the current setbacks. I had a dinner with some families up in Firestone a few months ago, and they are neighbors to the two gentlemen who had a pilot light in their basement they had to fix, and went down into that basement to fix the pilot light, and their home exploded, and they were both killed. And I can tell you those neighbors are terrified that there might be other abandoned wells in their neighborhood that might be underneath their homes. They can't sell their homes because no one wants to buy them. They're worried about local schools. And that fear is only going to grow as there's more and more development across the Front Range. So I think this is a real challenge we're going to have to solve. And there are three things I would do as governor. One is, yes, I do believe we have to push back setbacks. Second is we have to make sure that we actually fix all of those abandoned wells around the state, 300, 400, 500 of them, that could be leaking gas into someone's home or into someone's school. And so I think we have to resolve those. And then third is we have to get to zero leakage along all those pipelines so we're not putting people at more risk across the state. I think those are common sense steps, but I do think we need one set of statewide rules so you don't have every local city council and county commissioner having oil and gas companies come and negotiate them against each other for the best deal. I think there ought to be one set of statewide rules to protect all families and all schools, and that's what I would do as governor.
And how far away should those setbacks be then?
So I think 500 is not far enough. I agree that 2,500 is too far. I do think that you're going to have to require negotiations with stakeholders on both sides, because I think Donna's right on this. The question is, it's going to have to vary based on what the current infrastructure is. We know if you went to 2,500 right now, you would actually almost eliminate every single oil and gas rig in the state in terms of the current setbacks. You'd have to look at what's currently grandfathered in and what new drills can be put at greater distance. But I think for all the new developments, technology is going to allow us to be much farther away, and we got to set a higher standard.
Jared, 4 years ago, you financially supported an effort that put forward a number of different distances for setbacks, including 2,500 feet. What do you think is the appropriate setback, and is the current one adequate?
I think 500 feet is not enough. In addition, and I've been to Bella Romero Academy in Greeley, you need to measure any offset from any part of the school grounds where the kids have their educational program, not just from the school building. Under current law, it can actually be literally right next to a field where kids have PE. It needs to be further away. You're right. I've supported 1,500, 2,000 feet in cases where there's not a surface use agreement in place. Surface use agreements starting under Bill Ritter have been a best practice in terms of actually entering a contract with the landowner regarding where the oil and gas operation is sited. We need additional setbacks statewide, and we should be guided by science. Health and safety first. Objective data should guide our way, and it depends on what's being done where. And it's important to talk about the rights of homeowners and landowners as well, but we should not sacrifice putting any Coloradans at risk because of oil and gas activity that's too close to their home.
When you visited Bella Romero, you drew criticism from environmentalists who wanted the 2,500-foot setback. So what can you tell them? Where would it be? What is the appropriate distance?
Again, certainly more than 500 feet. When there's not a surface use agreement, I've supported up to 2,000 feet setbacks. I think that we can do this in our state. It'll be the challenge of the next governor to help make sure that we have the local control framework in place to give our communities a seat at the table, and to make sure that setbacks statewide are enough to objectively and from a scientific perspective protect our health and safety.
In 2,000, it sounds like? That's what you feel like is appropriate?
In a case where there's no surface use agreement, I think that there should be greater setbacks. Yes, it could be. I've supported 1,500 and 2,000 in the past. I certainly haven't changed my opinion on that.
Okay, thank you all.